Hello guys, how are you? I'm good. My name is Untitled for those of you who do not know me, and for the returners, welcome back to the channel, you guys. To the new subscribers, guys, and thank you so much for choosing to stay. So in today's video I will be doing a book review. I will be reviewing Ayanda Borotho's Unbecoming to Become. So I have never done a book review before, so I really hope that I do justice to the book. Yeah, for those of you who are still interested, please do keep watching. Da -da -da -da. Okay guys, so this is the cover of the book. I do have a lot to say about this book, and I honestly think that when I have done sharing my views on the book, a lot of you are going to want to go out and get it. Okay, so as usual, I have a few pointers that I want to be talking about, and just to make sure that I stay on track and I do say the things that are important, that I really want to highlight within the book, and yeah, that the video is short and it's not too long, yeah, all those things. So I will be looking down, but again I'll try and edit a lot of the things out. Okay, so why did I pick up the book? I picked the book up because it was trending. Honestly, it was trending, and I really liked the title of the book, and I was really intrigued by the amount of people that, you know, came out on the comment section of Ayanda's Instagram page, or Usis Ayanda to myself, and actually said that, you know, it changed their lives or their perspective about things. And so I was just so interested to find out, okay, what is it about this book? And yeah, that's basically why I picked it up from the word go. So what would I say about the book cover? Now, as you guys can see, this is the book cover. She looks like she is, you know, emerging from water, and she has all these chains, and it looks like you know, she's ready for war because of the spear umkhondo lo awuphethe, and it looks like, you know, she's literally just coming out of the water and she's ready for war, because you can even see ukuthi ufake like isicholo, you know, which is sort of like a traditional crown. So she is very ready for war, and I think it really does embody what is included in the book, because that's exactly what it is. When you finish this book, you are ready to fight. You are ready to fight for yourself, basically, and be unapologetic about a lot of things. Another thing that I like about the book is the play on the title. As you guys can see that the book is Unbecoming to Become, but they have scratched out the un and the BECO, so that the title, and it even has like different colors for those parts, so that the title also reads Becoming Me. So with the thing that I like is that with both titles, it still you know, speaks to the book. It's Becoming Me, and it's also about unbecoming a lot of things, you know, to become what you really need to be. So I was very impressed with the title, especially after I read the book. It was very smart, the way that they played around with the cover, with the title, and also the fact that you see with the author name, she included her maiden surname, and I think that was quite deliberate, because it's one of the things that, you know, she unlearns, that she is not just the Mrs., but she is a combination of the Ayanda prior to her getting married and the Ayanda, the married Ayanda. So yeah, I honestly, like, in terms of the cover, highly highly impressed. And even if you look at the back, she's now wearing a suit, and the spear is still, you know, on her hand, but she's literally pressing on it on the tip. So it's just like, you know, I've got this, I'm ready for corporate. You know, a lot of things, even the fact that she's wearing chains. You can also see on this side she's wearing a lot of chains, but it's the chains are not tying her. She is rather embracing them. So it's more like, you know, I've come out of this and I'm stronger, and I'm going to use whatever they tied me with to, you know, be a better version of myself. So I'm really impressed with the cover of the book, especially having read the book. It is a very you know, even with the title, the fact that it's bold, it's not a complicated font, it really speaks to the personality that Ayanda has. That it's honestly, this cover speaks everything about the book. But you honestly have to read the book in order to appreciate the cover. So yeah, that's it on the cover. Okay, so what are the main themes or chapters that really stuck out for me or stood out for me? Okay, this is where I might be faulted for spoilers, but honestly I do feel like I will not be indulging in a lot, but just touching on the critical you know, issues that she mentions in the relevant chapters. So there is a chapter on that is called Straits, and in brackets it's written the main chick. So okay, in this chapter she speaks a lot about how, you know, men have control over us, and we allow them to, because we sort of compete for this glorious position, you know, in their lives. And she counts the different types of girlfriends that, you know, she grew up elokishini, every single guy having. Well, maybe not every single guy, but you know, the bulk of the guys had, you know, the different categories of girlfriends. And I promise you, honestly I promise you, once you you read those categories, you will be able to identify which category you fall under in your specific relationship. So yeah, and then I think another thing that really, you know, intrigued me about this chapter was the fact that Ukuba umem is not as glorified as we think it is, yabon, because you're the one who gets to do all the ups and downs with the guy. If you haven't seen my video of you know, what they don't tell you about being a side chick, she sort of does, you know, what they don't tell you about being umem, yabon. You're the one who does not know what the hell is going on. You always, you know, amazed when you're being cheated on, because you honestly thought that you were the only one. You're the one who, you know, who hurts when a saga comes out, because you were being protected from everything else that, you know, was happening outside. And she also speaks about the sacrifices that you have to make as straights, because that's exactly what you do. You have to do a lot of sacrifices. You are unlike the side chick who is there when it's all fun and games. You are there when he's sick, when he is in trouble, when, you know, he goes through the most. You have to be there, and even his family requires you to be there. They speak to you about everything that he does, like usayahlupa, or he's you know, being what, and it's such a huge responsibility for a guy who does not appreciate you enough, so much so that in addition to everything else that you're doing, he sees the need to add 4 or 3 other girlfriends. So yeah, that was one thing that for me was just like, oh wow, the fact that she really unpacks what is entailed in being umem, and also the fact that you are not protected from anything really, because if there is a disease, you get it. it's just a matter of you saying, I just want to win, but at what cost? That's the question. That's the question that she's ultimately asking, like, at what cost? But it is a very interesting chapter to read, and it confronts a lot of things, you know, even with you and the current relationship that you are in. So yeah, I really love this chapter. And then there's another chapter called the Dudu Syndrome. Now this was honestly one of my favorite, and I say this because when she spoke of the Dudu Syndrome is just, you know, this thing that we do as ladies of, in fact with everyone, like of wanting to see people win as long as they aren't doing better than you, and using people to get up the ladder, and when you are up the ladder, you kick them down. So that is basically what the Dudu Syndrome is about. You going up the ladder, and then when you get up the ladder, you kick people down, or you wanting to be, you know, you want people to win, but you don't want them to be better than you. And I think what stood out for me the most was that when I was reading the book, initially when I started with the chapter, I was like, oh, I know this girl, I know this girl, I know this girl. And then when I kept reading, I realized that actually this could be me, this could be me, this could be me. And it was very uncomfortable because she brings out, you know, the huge Dudu Syndrome and the subtle Dudu Syndrome that we all find ourselves guilty of something in some way or the other. Okay, and then there is a chapter where she speaks about being ready to settle, and then in brackets she says for less. And then she speaks about how we are always watching the clock as ladies. Oh no, you know, I'm already going on 28, on 30, there's still no sign of me getting married. And then we are like, maybe let me just take that guy. At least he seemed like he was going to stay, he seemed to like me, he seemed to make me umemu or whatever, and we settle instead of waiting for the kind of guy that we really want to be in a relationship with. And she says in settling for less, that is when we attract a lot of unnecessary drama and depression into our lives, just because we want to settle because, you know, time is running out. And she really you know, says that it's honestly unnecessary, and she gives opinions about it, obviously, but it's honestly an interesting chapter to read, especially if you are, you know, seeing that maybe Pella, I can go in, but it's not really what I want. It is very, very confrontational about a lot of things, this chapter. Okay, then there was also a part in the book, and I do not remember which chapter it was from, but it was the main thing. Literally, if I was to be asked what is the one thing that I take out from the book, this was the one thing that I took out from the book. So she was speaking about her wedding, and you know how during the week prior to the wedding, older women, married women come in and, you know, advise you on what you should expect in marriage. And she talks about how they can scare you off, like literally scare you off, you know, the whole concept of marriage, and even getting married ngalolo suku, you know. And then she says she was very scared on her wedding day, and all the hype that she'd, you know, had about this happily ever after was suddenly just snatched because of all the bad things that all the other women had to say about marriage and what she was to expect. So, and then she said something that resonated with me, and I promise you this is the one thing that I take from this book, even if I forget everything else. So she says, I think it was her father-in-law that gave a speech at the wedding, and then he quoted, I think it's a Bible verse that says, "Can two walk together unless they are in agreement?" And yeah, guys, for me that was it. Like, moving forward with any type of relationship, whether romantic, friendships, anything, if I am walking with you, we have to be in agreement, you know. Not that we are always agreeing about, you know, things that we are talking about, but we are agreeing about the principles in which we choose to do things, especially in romantic relationships. You know, what are the values you want to instill in your home? How do you want to raise your kids? Do you want kids? How many? You know, what type of schooling, and what do you think about each other's ventures, private ventures? Do you embrace individuality in this relationship, or is it just a matter of it's either we do it together or we don't do it at all? You know, a lot of things that need you to be in agreement as a couple, or as any, you know, in any relationship actually that you choose to engage in. Can you walk together unless you are in agreement? And that is literally the one thing that I'm taking out from this book. If ever I'm getting into a relationship from now, that is the one thing I'm looking for. A person that I am in agreement with, that this is what we are building, this is where we are going, and this is how we wish to do things in the future. And even in my marriage, for as long as we are in agreement, I will stay. But soon as we are no longer in agreement, then I bye. Yeah, but so yeah, basically that is, honestly, it's the one thing that it stayed with me. That was the best part for me. Then she also speaks about God, church, and me. And I think the one thing that made me resonate with this chapter was the fact that the things that she highlights in the chapter are things that I've been trying to deal with myself. There is a lot of concepts and ways of doing things that I do not necessarily agree with in the church, and I just need time out, you know, to try and figure things out, really, like you know, what's going on in here. Yeah, but and she touched on a lot of the things that I'm also very finicky about, and I honestly don't understand how, you know, those things end up being prioritized in comparison to the others. And yeah, I just related to the chapter a lot. I honestly did. And then there was a chapter that spoke about the hashtag #MeToo movement. Yeah, guys. And you know, the funny thing was that the time I read this chapter, I was also reading Oprah Winfrey's Unbecoming to Become, and I was also reading Jackie Pamot's Bear. And all these ladies, all of them, have had some form of sexual molestation happen to them by a male figure, whether they knew them or not, but it's happened to them. So I think the thing that sort of I think it's a quote or a meme, I don't know what to call it, but that always comes up on social media, that how come every girl knows somebody who's been raped but no guy knows a rapist? And then it tells us a lot about, you know, what guys think rape is, and in comparison to our definition of it, and the necessary conversations that we need to have in society about what constitutes rape, and actual genuine consent. And then she also touched on a very sensitive topic to a lot of people, because I remember I posted the snippet on my status and a lot of people said they could relate. She spoke about, you know, how we played games as children and we were unaware that our older cousins, and usually male cousins, were trying to get, you know, some sexual satisfaction from it. And it really reminded me of some events in my life as well. And I remember when I posted the status, a lot of other ladies you know, said, we can really relate with this, we can really relate with this. So yeah, she tackles a lot of instances about, you know, physical abuse, sexual abuse, you know, that is inflicted by men on women. And she basically goes in and, you know, she expresses her views on the whole topic. And yeah, it's very heavy. It's a very heavy chapter. That's all I can say. And then there is a chapter where she speaks about raising a rebel queen, and this is when she talks about the differences that we can possibly make when raising our daughters in comparison to how we were raised. And she tackles things like consent, things like what virginity means in comparison to what we've been taught, you know, that it's this you know, sacred thing that is kept for men in our lives. And you know, she just wants us to change the narrative and control the fact that we are also sexual beings and we have also the right to enjoy sex. And she speaks about a lot, and then how she's planning on doing it with her children. So I think this is a very interesting topic for moms raising girl children. It is a very interesting chapter, I can say. And then there is the last chapter that I really, you know, stood out for me, which was Unbecoming to Become. This is the part where you see that, you know, women are going through the most. You know, she names a lot of scenarios that happen, and then we can honestly identify with it within our communities, and how women are you know, subjected to all of these things. And you know, they think it's okay, and when in actual fact it's not. And in some cases they know it's not okay, but they are staying just to prove a point. And that's where she's saying, you know, can we remove being everything for everybody else? Can we just be good people for ourselves? Yeah, bo? So honestly, that was just, for me, it was, I could see literally everyone in my circle, that nangu sbanban, imina gelona, and here is usbanban, here is usbanban, you know. I could identify with myself as well, and I could identify things that I do not want to end up becoming as well. So I was really you know, very taken by this chapter, and it's sort of a good way to wrap up the book. So was the book a page turner? Partially, yes. I mean, if I started a chapter, usually I wouldn't, you know, want to put it down. But I did take a long time reading the book, because it's a very confrontational book. It feels like you're in therapy with a psychologist, and she keeps, you know, triggering things that you didn't know that you had to deal with, or things that you thought you had dealt with. It's very confrontational. It's very uncomfortable. It's a very uncomfortable read, because it makes you question a lot of things that have happened in your past, and a lot about how you reacted to them, and what that says about you, and how you need to change that going forward. So I did take a long time to read the book, because honestly, at some point I did feel bullied, I did feel attacked. Yeah, you get to the point where you feel like that, where you feel like you know, her opinions are quite aggressive, and you don't necessarily agree. And of course I do not agree with every little bit of information that is in the book, but I really had to sift everything and realize whether I do not agree because I'm not wanting to agree, or I do not agree because I have different principles in terms of how to tackle that particular situation. So it's a very uncomfortable book, but at the end you do come out very strong and ready to fight, just like how, you know, she has you know, taken the picture in the cover of the book. You do come out very strong and wanting to fight for yourself and wanting to fight for who you genuinely are inside, and not the person that everybody else is expecting you to be. So yeah, it's a very you'll see for yourself. It's not an easy read. It's an easy read in terms of how, you know, she has written the book, but it's not an easy read in terms of how it evokes emotion and makes you tackle a lot of things about you and your life. Okay, so who would I recommend the book to? Honestly, this book for me should be a staple in every house. You know, like how we had that picture frame of a girl who was praying in every black home back in the day, or those dogs who were you know, I don't know whether it's ceramic or porcelain, you know, but those pink and white dogs, man, those dogs, you know, it should be a staple just like those things, because honestly, in every single home, this book, you know, should honestly exist. If Guimina, you know, who had the power to do things, I would honestly encourage that every home owns this book. Whether the home has women or men, it doesn't matter, because for women it helps, you know, regain your power, and for men it helps them understand why we are often labeled as bitter and angry black women. It really highlights the things that have led us to those emotions, and yeah, so I honestly would recommend it. I also would recommend it as a good 30th birthday gift. So to all my friends who are about to throw parties, if you are 26 years and older, I'm definitely getting you this book, because I feel like when you are in the age group 18 to 24, you won't appreciate the contents of the book, because I'm assuming that you are not yet as experienced as the book needs you to be. But if you know of someone who is very experienced, like has been through the most at a very young age, then this is a good book to get them. Also somebody who's just divorced, also somebody who's going into marriage. That's exactly what I'm saying, that it's a staple, honestly. And I'm going to try and get it for a lot of my friends, as many as possible, and I do not want to share the book, because I feel like it's one of those books that you need to constantly refer to, you know, every once in a while. So yeah, guys, go out there and get the book. It's an investment, I promise. It's an investment. Whatever price you have to pay for it is worth it. So please go out there and get the hard copy of the book. We want to support the business aspect of, you know, the book. Our authors are very good, and they write relatable content, and I'm all for supporting them, Gemina. So yeah, I think that's another thing that came out from this book. Buying her book actually, you know, made me want to buy a lot of other local authors, because of how well written the book is. So yeah, guys, I honestly, enjoyed the book. It did take me forever to read, as I've, you know, said before, but I would definitely recommend it for every home in the country. So yeah guys, thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to comment, like and subscribe. Remember that a subscription is absolutely free. You can just subscribe and join the family. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I love you for it. Bye.